God damn it.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Take the truth. I'll set you free.
All right, awesome. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Face the Truth. Looking forward to talking to my guest this week. Looking forward to talking to anybody, actually, but especially this guest. It's been maybe 2 weeks since I did the podcast, and it feels like forever, and I miss it because I get to talk to awesome artists every week, and so when I miss a week or so, it makes me very sad. But anyways, I'm very excited to talk to this young lady. She's an amazing artist. I really love her style and her technique, her overall aesthetic, her choices that she makes in exaggeration, also brushwork, and just the overall technique and way she approaches painting digitally. And so everyone, please welcome Ash Stryker.
Thank you so much for having me, Jason. It's so exciting to be on your podcast. You know, you've featured a lot of artists that I really admire, and you're an artist that I really admire, so it means the most. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. That means a lot to me as well. And by the way, you get like extra points for having one of the coolest names I've ever heard before.
Thank you. It's by design. I wish it was my actual name.
Oh, it's not. So this is
No.
Okay. There you go. See, now you got points removed. Yeah.
Just keep it to myself.
Yeah. So you, I've to be honest, like I haven't heard of you until maybe this last year or so. I started seeing your work popping up more, maybe a couple years ago. I don't know. Time is weird right now.
No kidding.
But every time I see something that you do, I'm always like, yes, it's awesome. You've got really, really strong aesthetic. And so I guess we can start just getting into that right, from the get-go here is, maybe like what your inspirations are and maybe how you got from the beginning to this point. I know that's a lot,
Yeah.
but
yeah. I think it just starts with inspiration. I've really admired for a long time, your work included. I'm trying to remember, Ibanez Rodriguez, he comes to mind too. I really like his style and his. So it was just like emulation for the most part, trying new things because my style really started developing at the beginning of 2020 with lockdown. All I really had to do was draw. I mean, I had all this time and nothing to do but draw, document every day and picking a reference photo. I usually work for musicians or actors or like artists that I really admire. And, I find something with a compelling color profile, with a good range of work reference. And you try new things in a program that you've been using for over a decade just to see what new effects you can achieve. And when I discovered new effects, like, the anaglyph effect where the edges are like green and yellow and stuff like that, it was just through toying around with the program that I think my style really arose. I think that kind of covers most of it. I can get into the nitty gritty of how I make some of those effects.
The nitty gritty. Yeah, I'd like to get into it, but you were breaking up a little bit there. I don't know if the connection's not so great. So I got part of that. So you're saying basically you just started playing around with, what I'm getting from that is you used Photoshop for years, and then, through the lockdown and everything else, you decided to experiment a little bit more, and you just started using things that you never played around with before, and it kind of just expanded basically your style. Are you there?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's the case for most artists. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, you were freezing. Like right when you're about to say something, you're like, So.
That's not good. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. It was, I feel like the thing that really makes style emerge is experimentation. Like once you new and you kind of incorporate it into your overall style and voice. So with the downtime that I had, and I just kept playing around with new things and, watching some of my favorite artists on YouTube and like tutorial videos videos and stealing their techniques.
Hmm.
There's this one artist, I think it's Cynic's Design. Are you familiar with Cynic's Design?
No, I don't think
No.
so.
He's like a concept artist on YouTube. He's been around for a long time doing videos on digital painting. I really like his work. He taught me about this concept called tempo in digital
Oh,
art, which is basically, tempo?
hey, wait, what was his name again?
Cynic's Design, Sinix.
Okay, I'll look that up. For a second I thought you were talking about someone I know, and I'm like, wait a minute, is that the? So, but no, that's not who I was thinking. Okay, continue.
Is it Mark Brunet that you're thinking of?
No, I was actually thinking of Zing. I think that's how you say his name. He's
Zing?
he's from Austria. An amazing artist, but he does a lot of like, kind of effect type things. But I think he uses an iPad. Which I find this
Okay.
this is like really cool. Just for me personally, because I most of my digital painting is it's pretty much just straight up painting. It's there's not, I don't really do too many effects or anything like that. But I do, depending on the project, like if it's like for like a certain illustration, I might use some effects just because it helps speed something up, or just, again, trying something completely different. Like recently I wanted to do something more comic book like, and so I did like a pen and ink style, and then I used Photoshop to create like a halftone thing, which was really cool, but it's completely different for me. So I've been actually myself playing more with that. I think I used to be more of a stickler to where I just felt like it was cheating to do any kind of effects or anything. But now I'm starting to loosen up a little bit more with that and realize, I can, like what you were saying, I can expand a little bit and have a little bit more fun and play with it a little bit more. And I think, because I think I have that inner guilt of, no, it has to be, it's like when I first started doing, I don't know if you can relate to this, but when I first started getting into caricature and like illustration, I thought it was cheating using reference. So my hands looked like crap and everything because I was like, no, it's got to be from my mind, that was very stupid and naive, but I think that's what it takes as artists, as we start to, we have to kind of, you just kind of got to be open to things a little bit more, which I'm starting to, in my old age, realize.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the artist, but it was some like online influencer, someone with a big following. Oh my gosh, it might have been Nathan Pecker. He mentioned that you should never draw from imagination. You should always refer to a photo reference whenever you can. And I'd been doing that for a while already, but it never really dawned on me why I was doing it. And it's so much easier to get to the conclusion or the resolution that you want in your artwork when you're going, kind of pixel by pixel off of something from reality. And then at that point, you can push and add your own voice into it. But if you know that the structure's there and you can nail the structure,
Yeah.
then you can start to play around with it and explore style. And I think that's really hard to do without like the training wheels of having the reference photo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
better artists can do it. Better artists than me can do it.
For me, it totally changed my career and everything when I discovered that for myself, like almost 20 years ago now, where I was like, oh man, I can pose someone, light them, put them in the kind of clothing that I want, and all of a sudden now I can make Napoleon Dynamite do whatever I want him to do. Or, it was just an amazing moment for me personally, because I'm like, what? How did it take this long to figure that out? It's kind of ridiculous. Like Norman Rockwell was doing that like a long time ago.
That makes me feel better that Norman Rockwell was doing it. That makes me feel so much better.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, that's kind of what my early inspiration was. I like to tell this story. I don't know if you know this or not, but Rockwell, of course he had crazy deadlines, which I can relate to. And he painted everything from life, mostly, but he would also photograph people, pose them, put them in costumes. But he didn't have the luxury that we have today with like our, even our cell phones have amazing cameras now. But he at one point had to paint a duck for something, and he actually nailed a duck to a piece of wood in his studio so he could paint the duck. and the webbing between a duck's feet is supposedly like there's no feeling there. So the duck was technically not harmed, but it's still pretty messed up. But he would just like nail the duck there, and it's just sitting there so we could paint it. But yeah, I think I read that in he's got like a book. I think it's called My Life as an Illustrator or something like that. But have you ever done that? Have you ever nailed a duck down before?
No, but I might try it on my next subject. Maybe I'll pick a musician, invite them over to my house, and nail them to my wall.
Yeah. So you never know. It could start a whole new style.
You never know. They might.
Yeah, go for it.
Exactly. No, that's just it. That's the experimentation. That's the innovation. It's nailing your subject to a piece of wood. You got to do things, go to uncharted territory.
Yeah, for sure. So how did you get into caricature?
It was retail for me. I started at a theme park called Valley Fair. It's in Shakopee, Minnesota.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't know this at the time, but that's Tom Richmond's operation, and I had no idea who he was. I applied because I grew up
there. I grew up there.
You did?
Yeah, I went to high school in Eau Claire. And so
what?
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
Yeah, I went to high school there, Memorial High School in Eau Claire.
Crazy.
And we used to go to Valley Fair. I used to go to Minneapolis all the time. I was like only like an hour and a half away or something like that. So yeah, I'm very familiar with it. Yeah.
See all the talents in the Midwest.
Yeah, that's what I always say. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was because I needed internship credits for my degree. And before I met him, I was emailing him, and I don't know what compelled me to do this, but I looked him up because I wanted to see his artwork. And then I discovered he had a Wikipedia page, and that destroyed me before my interview. I was sweating bullets, and he was courteous enough to shake my hand, even though it was sopping wet. It was a good experience, though. I learned a lot from him. He's a very generous person. He let me attend one of his caricature workshops for free, and that really helped me too.
Oh, wow. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
No, he's an awesome
guy. But that was
in
2018 that I started.
That was when?
No kidding. Love Tom. 2018.
Oh, so you're pretty new at this then. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
People better watch out,
man.
A
little baby.
Yeah, people better watch out. You're like, you're like the young vampire in Interview with the Vampire. Like, she looks innocent, but she's gonna watch out.
Kristen Dunst. I like that. I like being compared to her.
I'm predicting future Gold Nosy here. That's what I'm saying. Now that's amazing.
I hope you're right. Thank you.
Oh yeah. It's I mean, Joe Bloom got one. You can get one. You know what I'm saying? No, but it's really cool. Like it. Speaking of, you just got back from the caricature convention, and that's I mean, I think I heard somewhere online this was like your second or third one. I mean, yeah, that makes about sense.
3.
If you started in 2018, okay. So which was the first one you went to? Was it in Memphis?
Yep, Memphis 2019.
Oh, so I was there. Okay. I don't remember meeting you there though.
Yeah.
Probably avoided me.
I was shy. I tried to make the rounds.
It's all right.
Oh, you could call me intimidated. Let's say that. I was watching you and Joe and Mike Gressley, and I was like, someday I'll make my way over there, say hi.
You can always come say hi. I think was I even doing it? I don't think I was doing anything that year. No, I did like some doodles on my iPad, I think, that year. Yeah, no, I remember now. I remember I just was, so that year was fun because I mostly wanted to do one of Glenn because Glenn went through pretty rough times, everybody knows. So I remember now. Yeah, I worked mainly on a piece of Glenn the entire time while everyone else is filling up their walls with a million pieces. I did like one piece. I can be a slowpoke sometimes. But yeah, so how has your experience been with going to the convention every year?
It's amazing. It's incredible. I'm addicted. It's like a drug. When I went in 2019, I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. It was Eric Roadfelt who dragged me out there. He's like, you have to go. You have to meet these people. You have to compete. I I was an introvert. I wasn't very confident in my abilities. So it was definitely a test of my mettle. But, I met all the fantastic artists out there and they really inspired me and pushed me. So after that, I wanted to go every year. And every year since, even the last one, the virtual one, they were all phenomenal, really great
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah, I was so sad I couldn't come this year. Last year I did the virtual thing and I was going to do that this year, but then the reason I couldn't come this year was because of deadlines. I got a little bit of work piled up. But I was equally or even more disappointed, bummed because Kevin was there and Kevin's a good friend. And I was excited that he was kind of being welcomed into the caricature community. And I wanted to be there for him for that, but it didn't work out. But we talked on the phone quite a bit before it and everything. And then afterwards, he told me that he actually learned a lot from you. And I wanted to talk about that. He said he got to hang out with you and that you showed him some cool things in Photoshop. And he called me. He was talking to me about it. He's like, this Ash girl, she's so cool. She showed me all this stuff. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. How was it meeting Kevin Nealon? He's such a nice guy, right?
He is, yeah, super down to earth. He just sat down right next to me and, I had stars in my eyes. It took me a second to register who he was. But he just like immediately started rattling off questions, not just about Photoshop and how to paint, digitally, but, just about, me and the connection and the artist there. And he seems to have a very genuine interest in people. And that rubbed me the right way. I really enjoyed talking with him. Yeah, no, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. I didn't realize that there was anything I could teach him. I've seen his work and he's a superstar.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's really, he's not new at caricature. He's been doing it for quite a while, but in the last few years, him and I talk quite a bit about caricature and exaggeration. And he's like at the stage right now where he's starting to feel more comfortable pushing things a little bit more. And he's like playing around a lot with color and Photoshop. When I first started talking with him, he was having a lot more problems with Photoshop, and I would like show him like videos of this is how you make a new layer, but like now he's like I can see how excited he is now. He's like, yeah, I'm getting it. And he's doing some really cool things with color. So I'm sure like because your stuff, you push your color quite a bit, which I like. Like there's a lot of cool things that I like about your work that I think he is probably feeding off of that and being like, not off of me, feeding off of what he's seeing with you, that, you're pushing things a little bit differently because I'll be honest, like one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the podcast is because for one, I haven't had a good caricature artist on the podcast for a while. And I realized, I need to get another caricature artist because I've been having like comedians and different people on them. But then the thing is because I've been doing caricature for as long as I have, I'm not like blown away by very much. Okay. I'm not like, I guess confused or, puzzled, like, how do they do that? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, whatever. But there's a handful of artists out there that when I see their work, I'm like, oh, I like that. And that's what, for you popped in my mind that way. I was like, I got to get her on the podcast because one of the things I like about what you do is I like that. And I want to talk about your background in painting, if you don't mind, but because I'm very curious about this because painting has become more of a passion for me. When I first started, it was all about drawing faces, and but as I started becoming more of a painter, now it's I'm more into paint strokes, brush work, and different kinds of color palettes and things like that. And what I like about your work is that you have a very strong aesthetic where it's got a realistic feeling and flavor to it, but it almost frustrates me, if I'm being honest, how you simplify the tones, if that makes sense. Because, like you're not like, it doesn't look like you're using like a million different values. It's like you're choosing like, hey, I'm only gonna do like 4 or 5 tones and I'm gonna keep it like that. And it's frustrating because I'm like, oh, I like it. I like it a lot. But it's like you're nailing it you're saying more with less, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
so I'm curious, like what's your approach with like how do you basically start off something? Like if you're gonna like, do you think about that, about the I'm only going to use this many tones, like keep it simple in that way, or do you just, is it just what you're, how you're coming along and developing? And I'm curious because I always tend to
No,
overwork it. You know what I mean? Like I'll let
no,
render the
absolutely. I get
hell
it.
out of
Yeah.
something.
I feel like part of it is just kind of like instinctual. I don't even really think about what I'm doing sometimes.
Okay.
You get into like this painting rendering mode, and your brain and your muscle memory takes over from there. But my basic process is I do a very loose sketch of whatever my material, because I think that most of the likeness comes from the actual painting or the rendering process, as long as I'm loyal to the color profile of it and like the levels of value. Like if everything is in the right value level, then it should look like them. Place it in the right spots. So it's a very loose sketch, and then I lay down flats, and then from there it's just rendering and hours of rendering.
Mm.
I don't really know where the style came from, because I know what you're talking about. It's like what's it called? Planar analysis, where you see certain planes of the face, and that's where
Mhm.
I isolate color, and then I might fade it out here and there. Is that what you're getting at?
Yes. Yeah. Well, what I'm getting at is like you, yeah, basically. I mean, one of the best way to paint, especially when you're trying to teach someone how to paint, is to be able to, painting can be overwhelming and freak people out a lot of times when they're trying to figure it out. And one of the most important things I think about painting is values. Number one, that's what I think about constantly. Doesn't matter if I'm working in color or whatever it is, but values are the thing I'm thinking about. And you can, it helps to, when someone's trying to learn, is to, hey, just focus on like 3 main values. Try to, break it down to that, and see how much you can do with that. And then you go, and it's like starting with a large paintbrush first, and then you kind of just slowly start using smaller brushes as you detail. So your work in a way has that feeling to it, but like there's a sophistication to it. There's like, it's like, it almost feels like, in the middle, it feels like it's in between realism and animation or something. You know what I mean? There's something movement about it. There's
Yeah.
something, yeah. I don't know how else to explain it, but that's how I see it anyways.
I really like
I
that.
like
Thank
it.
you. That's kind of what I'm gunning for.
That's good.
Thank you.
Oh, cool.
I'm gunning for somewhere between, because I think the endearing thing about caricature is your ability to abstract not just someone's like physical features, but their personality. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the personality aspect comes from abstracting their face in a more cartoony way. You can get it with like hyper realistic, exaggerated paintings like Glenn Ferguson or Manny's work. But for me, I've just noticed my own predilections lean towards cartoon. I have a background in reading comics and watching cartoons, so like that's always informed my process to some extent. And
Mm-hmm.
to tackle painting a little bit, I would say I mostly did pencil work, and I didn't necessarily value as much as line work and trying to convey things with the line alone. And caricature worked really well for that because lines. But I also had this digital practice since I was like maybe 11 years old, and I've been toying with painting for a long time, digital painting, because I wanted to be as good as like Mark Burnett. He was one of my inspirations growing up. Mark Burnett of Blizzard fame. And after practicing in that program for so long and doing like color picked paintings and studies and trying to make things look real in Photoshop, I got it. So I wanted to incorporate my caricature practice into my digital painting practice. And during 2020, that's mostly what I was doing, was finding a way to mix both of them together.
Mm.
And that's where that style kind of came from, and that's why I love painting so much. Painting is very liberating, because whatever you mess up, you can go over again. It's
Yeah.
so easy to manipulate and change and fix. And there's so many different techniques.
Oh, you're from.
Fidgety, I'm kind of ADHD as an artist. I need to try new things all the time.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's funny. You were breaking up a little bit, but you were saying how one of the nice things about it is that with like digital painting is you can always fix it, right? Um, you can do the same thing traditionally, but for some reason people are freaked out by it. You know what I mean? Like I always felt free. Like when I started painting with acrylics, I started realizing I was afraid of it at first. I was afraid of making mistakes, and I would take my time, and then once I realized, wait a minute, I can just keep painting over things. All of a sudden, I wasn't afraid anymore, and I started making bolder moves and things like that. And I think painting digitally is one of those is a really great tool for learning how to paint in general, because it is almost like the Matrix, like plugging in, because you can paint way quicker. You can learn, you can learn how not to do things as well, way quicker digitally. Whereas when you go back to painting traditionally, you've got like more tools, that's what I find anyways, is it's interesting to go back and forth between the oil painting and then digital painting and that sort of a thing. Do you do any actual traditional painting as well?
Not nearly as much as I used to. Growing up, definitely. Watercolor was my favorite medium for a while. I have some experience with acrylic, very minimal experience with oil, but all of them are very compelling to me, and I'd like to get into them more. I mean, I have a couple paintings just on my floor there that I'm in the middle of working on. Sometimes trying to transfer my digital knowledge to traditional media. I know it's in me, but it takes me a little bit longer to suss out the process because it's not as familiar. But I like the challenge as well. It's good for me. I need to stretch myself out a little bit more.
Well, what I was going to say too is like just painting, and messing around with like acrylics or whatever, you'll start to notice things that you really like, and then next time you work digitally, you like, oh, I could try putting that in there. That's just, I think one of the cool things about it is you start, I mean, I've noticed like artists that work digitally a lot, but they also do traditional, like their digital work usually has more of a traditional feel. And that's why I was asking, because your work does feel that way to me. It has like a really nice painterly feel. That's why I was curious about your background when it comes to painting. Now, if I'm curious, if you don't mind getting into it a little bit, about like some of the kind of effect things that you've discovered that are a lot of fun. And I'm just curious, just overall, like, I mean, like for me, I'll just let you know, like right off the bat, like I started in the last couple of years, just stuff I've never done before, start playing around with, gosh, what's that? And I'm blanking right now because I can't look at Photoshop. It starts with a V. In my layers, what is that called? Gosh dang. I don't know. I'm blanking right now. But like there's like soft light,
Okay,
and there's overlay. What's the one? It starts with a V. Like the effect. I'm blanking right now. Anyways, I've been playing around with that a lot. With like once I'm finished with a painting, I'll like add some extra color on top of that, and it'll just like pop things and really, it's been fun. But it's funny, like I said earlier, how many years I just never messed around with stuff like that. I just like stick straight to painting. But now I'm having more fun. We're like, oh no, I could do really cool color effects here that I've never, even thought of before. It's gonna drive me crazy. I'm gonna try to vivid light. There you go. That's what it is. Thank you. I would have literally lost my mind.
I know. I'm the same way. I have Photoshop open, so I cheated.
Yeah, I was just trying to open Photoshop just to look at it. But yeah, so what are some of the kind of effects that you like to play around with?
Yeah, absolutely. I usually use filters. I like so some people have said it's Gaussian. I pronounce it Gaussian, the Gaussian blur.
Oh,
I like using that to soften out my paintings. If there are any edges there that I didn't quite control the way I wanted to while I was rendering, I'll put a Gaussian blur over it. And then I don't know if you know about this function, but whenever you put a filter or you edit a layer, like let's say you edit the hue or saturation or you want to posterize it, if you go into edit, there's something called fade. and you can fade whatever effect you just used. So like I'll do the Gaussian blur, set it to soft light, and fade it to like 50% opacity. So it's like this really soft visual effect that barely is visible on the painting, but it's, and honestly, my style is just a culmination of all these very minimal, small, almost unnoticeable effects all together to build up like this traditional profile, because I want my digital work to look as traditional as possible.
Hmm.
Like,
That's pretty interesting.
and I
So
like that. I don't
yeah.
want to this.
So like, so it's like a buildup of different layers on top that's kind of giving a little bit of depth to it. Is that what you're saying? Like, but you say, so you
Yep,
go into
absolutely. It's like mixed media.
yeah, that's awesome. So when you do like a Gaussian blur, I like to use that a lot as well, for like, you know, softening backgrounds and things like that. But like you're saying, like if you go up to the top where it says edit, then you can, there's like a fade thing. I did
It's
not
really
know.
useful. I use it all the time.
I'm gonna have to play. I'm gonna have to play with it.
I know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. See, here's the thing. There's a friend of mine, Anthony, blah blah blah. Blanking his name right now. Robot Pencil. I don't know why I can't think of his name right now. You know who I'm talking about?
Robot Pencil. Big fan of his work.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Anthony something. I'm blanking. Anyways, him and I years ago did a workshop together in Toronto for schoolism, and you know, my demo workshop was just basically just me drawing and painting, you know, and I a lot of times I paint all on one layer. Like, and some people freak out. They're like, "You're doing that all in a layer?" And then I'll and that's mostly still what I do, but I'll make other layers to work on the hair or different things, maybe certain effects. But then he got up and started doing his demo, and it was crazy. I started to realize why they call him, or why he calls himself Robot Pencil. But he was like, he has his his keyboard, just like all these different keys that he's come up with in different, you know, whatever, you know, he like reprograms his keyboard basically, and he's sitting there just like drawing, and things are popping up and flipping and disappearing and reappearing, and things, the page is flipping and it's flipping back and it's going upside down, and he's not taking his mouse and going up to the top and doing anything. It's just like everything's moving around. I'm like, what is happening here? And he was doing things that I didn't even know Photoshop could do some of these things. So it's kind of funny because I guess in a way, I'm still old school, where I feel like I feel like almost a little bit of like betraying myself if I, you know, I always feel like don't abuse the computer. But I like what you're saying, because it's, you know, you're still using it in an artistic way, where you're using it, you're not abusing it, you're using it to create just a different way, or a different, you know, it's like another tool basically. So this is like therapeutic for me.
Good.
If that makes sense.
That's what I like here. Absolutely. Yeah, liberate yourself.
Yeah. No, it's funny. You got to understand, like when I first started getting into illustration, you know, back in the 1900s, like the Society of Illustrators, they wouldn't, you know, like digital stuff was just made fun of. It wasn't allowed. It was not that it wasn't allowed, because I got some of I think my first painting I got in was an acrylic painting, but I think my second or third one was a digital, and it got in the show, and people didn't realize it was digital until they got to the show. And then they look at it and they go, oh, I overheard people. Basically, they were like, oh, that's just digital. Oh, you know, you know, so it was like really looked down on. And I remember just feeling so insecure. But then now when you go to those shows, it's like 99% digital, like everything's digital. And things have loosened up quite a bit, but I still have that, like, you know, that glooming weight on my shoulders. Like, is it okay to push this button and do this thing? You know? So anyways, I like that.
No, that makes complete
approach.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there's a doggy. But yeah, I like your approach with it. One of the things I've been really enjoying too, because I looked through a bunch of your work. I love like your musician pieces, like your Tom Waits and what was that other one? Blanking on the name right now. But the one thing that's fun about your work too is that you're not just focusing on the faces, but you're also focusing on the body language and the posture, Like that Tom Waits sitting at the piano. It's just like, oh, that's just so wonderful. It totally just captures the feeling and everything. When you do work like that, do you pop in some Tom Waits while you're working on it?
Absolutely. It helps with the
Yeah.
process. Usually I'm painting musicians that I'm listening to at the moment. Like
Yeah.
I'm listening to their music and I'm really vibing to it. I'm like, I should paint them. I mean, there are plenty of pieces that I've started because, I was on some artist or group kick and then I never finished them simply because I stopped listening to their music and I didn't have the inspiration anymore. Like there's one that I've got sitting on my computer of Vic Chestnut that I've been wanting to finish for months now because I think it would turn out beautifully, but I can't listen to his music anymore without crying.
Oh, well, yeah. I guess you don't want to torture yourself.
No, no, I do enough of that as an artist.
Oh man. Yeah. You know, so I guess this leads me to the next thing I wanted to talk about. So what are your goals with what you're doing? Like, are you wanting to get more into illustration, or animation or character design? I'm curious because I think with the work that you do, you really could go anywhere with it. I think you could anyways.
I don't really have any goals set yet. I probably should. That'd be wise. But um, currently, what really matters to me is continuing to style and my identity as an artist in the world. I'm thinking about going into teaching, but like
Mm.
online teaching, like doing like those schoolism courses, but on my own terms, like maybe offering tutorials and video resources. I think that's where I want to take it initially, just to kind
Mhm.
of like build up like a buffer for myself financially. And then from there, I would love to explore like movie productions. I would love to do concept art or color panels and keyframes and stuff. I would do anything. I would do anything people would let me work on because
Yeah.
I really am interested in everything when it comes to art. I love storyboarding. I love animation. I love character design. I love storks. Like whatever anyone would let me do, I would love to do.
Yeah. That's about the way that you need to be, I think. um, because I mean, I could definitely see you doing illustration. Illustration is a little bit tricky because it's it's not as crazy as it was. It's not as busy as it was. It's up and down. Like sometimes it'll just be I'm so busy I'm losing my mind, and sometimes I'm like, do I need to like go get a job at Home Depot or something? Like, what's going on?
I
Um,
know.
um, but yeah, the great thing about your work and your style and everything is that you do have that ability to be able to kind of tap into a bunch of different mediums. It seems like, or not really, not I don't mean mediums, but like genres. So did you go to art school? Like, did you
I
go?
did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Minneapolis College of Art and Design. Yeah, I
Oh,
got a
okay.
BFA in comic art.
Oh, cool. Okay, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Man, that's so funny. I almost was going to go to that school. Um, it's interesting. um,
Where did you end up going instead?
I went to the American Academy of Art in Chicago, but only for like 2 years or less than 2 years. And all I did was my gen eds. So I basically wrote papers and gave speeches um, and then I quit and I just went full time into my illustration.
Yeah.
But I find it interesting. I always like to hear about artists and what where they come from and their ways of thinking. And I love the fact that you're interested in being a teacher because I think that um, someone like you seem like you're natural at like trying to like share and teach. And this year at the convention, it's only your third time, and you were speaking at the convention, right? And what was
Yep.
it that
Yeah, I
what was
gave
it
a
that
seminar on digital art technique.
oh, okay. I knew that. Um, how was it? Were you was it a little bit scary, or was it fine?
Oh, absolutely. I was terrified. Everyone said I was great up there. They said I didn't look nervous, but they weren't in my body. I felt I was talking, I was stutter, couldn't get my words out. They
Uh,
said that I did well, and I have to trust them on that one. And
I'm
I
sure you
did
did.
watch the video playback, and I guess I wasn't doing as poorly as I thought.
Mm,
But
I'm
it was
sure you
really
did
fun.
fine. Yeah.
Most, and I love the.
Well, I mean, you're getting people's attention, which is a good thing. So I would keep riding that wave and keep pushing yourself. The one thing that, for me, I always feel like, I kind of noticed this early on when I was getting started in illustration, is there was artists that I really looked up to, that I really liked a lot, that I noticed, like, wow, they're really, really good. Their work is amazing. But then I noticed basically for the last 30 years, it looks exactly the same. Like nothing has changed. There's a handful of those artists out there. And I kind of made a deal with myself, like, you're not going to do that. Like, it's not going to happen. You're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and evolving the style and pushing and changing and getting better. And I think that's I can see that with what you're doing. Like, I think you posted something just the other day, like, you're just like seeing your work from a couple years ago at the convention till now. It's like just leaps, like completely, looks like a completely different artist, and so it seems like you've got something going. You got your head and your shoulders, as they say. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what you do. I think that that you're obviously, getting the attention of ISCA as well, because they had you come and speak, which is really cool. And maybe next time when they have you come and speak, you'll feel more relaxed. Yeah,
I think so.
People probably feel more comfortable. You'll
Yeah,
probably
I
feel
really
more comfortable
appreciate that. Thank you.
with everybody else. Yeah, I've spoken a few times at the convention, and I know that it can be a little bit overwhelming because you want to also take part in the convention, but you feel like for me anyways, I felt like I couldn't relax until I did my speech or whatever it was. Were you able to get a lot of work done? When was yours compared to the rest of the week?
I was to be first live speaker of the event, the week, so I got it out of the way and spent the rest of the week drawing. It was awesome.
Oh,
I would do it every time if I could.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I always, I don't know, it's funny, like, whenever, like, I think that's important too as an artist. When you get opportunities like this, you always say yes. You don't say no. Like, someone's asking you to do something, like, speak somewhere. If you can walk through that door, walk through that door, because it's going to open up a lot of things. But I don't know if you're like this, but like for me, it's like I'll say yes to something like that, and then the entire time up to it, I'm like, why did I do this? Oh, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
the whole time just nerve-wracked, just like, oh, and then as soon as it's done, I'm like, oh, okay, now I can relax and have fun. But it's a good experience for you. I think it's awesome. And how many pieces did you get done, by the way?
Thank
for the
you.
convention?
I got 9 done altogether, but one of them was disqualified because I didn't know this. It wasn't an actual ISCA member, but his brother. So I had 8 that I could show.
Oh, that's so funny. You got disqualified. That's crazy though. That's a good amount.
I know,
man.
it's a bummer, but whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I really pushed myself this week.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you already planning for next year? Excited about next year?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but I was nominated to the board, so I have to go no matter what. I'm putting the event
I didn't
on
see
next
that.
year.
Oh, so what are
Yeah.
you what are you doing on the board now?
I'm board member. I don't know what that entails, but I am board member. So no real role, but I'm there and I'm going to do my best to represent the organization.
Huh. Board member. Does that mean you're the member that's
Yeah.
just bored all the time? Like enough yapping?
I think
Tom?
so. That's probably going to be
Yeah.
it.
That's awesome. I hope I can
Thank
make it
you.
next year. It'll be a lot of fun. Yeah. It's in Orlando next year. Okay.
Yep, SeaWorld, DoubleTree at SeaWorld.
Ah, nice. Cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Before we get going on this, I know you got to do something at 3. I want to show you some fan art real quick.
Please, yes, please.
So I think you might enjoy this. I don't know if you can see that.
Is that Paula?
Yeah. Paula Petlawani. Yeah.
I love it.
There's a little bit of a delay. I don't know if if I'm not sure if you see it when I see it, but yeah, I like that she pushed the color in this one. It's pretty cool.
Me too. Very Picasso.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is Jacques Lemonnier.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a this one reminds me of somebody that I'm not quite sure who. Like some kind of actress. I don't know if it's not Kirsten Dunst, but it's somebody. Looks like you, but like I'm like it looks like you, but I'm like getting like vibes of somebody, and it's driving me nuts. I love this.
Just shout it out whenever.
Yeah. Dakota Fanning, I think that's what I was thinking. Or something, I don't know, something like that. Anyways. But have you seen this guy's work before, Pablo Salas?
I have not. No, that's awesome. I like all the open lines.
Yeah. I really like his work a lot. He's been sending things in almost every time, and like it's really cool, and also kind of annoying how simple like just a few lines, but it's pretty awesome. It's really cool.
Right. It's impressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is by Dino Lee.
That's excellent. Thank you, Dino.
And this is cool. So are you able to see the animation in this?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. So this is by Dominic Zeilinger, but he wanted to show that this is literally one line that he drew, and when it flips one way it looks like me, when it flips the other way it looks like you.
Wow, that's awesome, Dominic. That's so cool and intuitive.
And really weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Like,
how did he do that?
I don't know. I really don't know. I really like that side profile of me though.
Yeah, it looks just like you.
It's pretty funny. I mean, it's like it cracks me up, man. Oh geez. But this is pretty cool. I'm not sure. I can't remember. He wrote me and told me what he did in, and I totally spaced. I should have wrote it down, but it's pretty cool. This is pretty cool. This is by Mr. Ponce, and
wow.
I think this is watercolor. I think, or gouache, but yeah, this is really cool. This is one thing I like about watercolors. I just love
talent.
That's the thing too, is like, painting digitally, and I'm sure, I don't know how much you've messed with trying to get stuff to look watercolor like when you're painting digitally, but just painting with watercolors, even if you're just messing around on a piece of paper, and just figuring out different techniques that you can bring into painting digitally, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've tried some of those watercolor brushes for Photoshop. They never look the same. Maybe I just don't know what I'm doing, because I know Jan Optavik, he uses those watercolor brushes, and every time I think they're actually traditional when they're not. I should probably talk to him about his technique.
Yeah, is he doing it on an iPad though? Because I think
it's Procreate. Yeah, he uses Procreate.
Yeah, I think they have their watercolor brushes are a little bit more accurate than, from what I've seen anyways. This one's pretty cool. This is by Juan McTavish. Wow. I like this a lot, like the brushwork. Do you know who's? I mean, this is kind of random because I guess you'd have to know his work to know what I'm talking about. But do you know Scott Burdick's work?
I don't think so. No.
He's like more of a traditional painter, but I really like the sleeve, the red sleeve, and there's just the softness in this, and how even the treatment of the hand with just a few brush strokes, it just has like this really beautiful. I mean, that's what I noticed right away. It's really nice.
This is beautiful.
That's cool. I like I don't remember seeing that reference, but was your hair like that color, or is this like something they added?
It was blue for a while. I'm letting it go back to its natural color, but it was blue for maybe a solid year.
Oh, okay. All right. I just was wondering it looks really cool. I like how the eyes and the hair have that matching feeling to it. I just wasn't sure if that was just some creative freedom there.
Yeah, it matches really well with the sleeve. Ooh, Jeremy.
Yeah, so you know who this is? This is Jeremy the artist.
Yeah.
What's Jeremy's last name? Do you know?
Martinez.
Okay. Because I want to make sure I put the name. I looked everywhere. I looked at Instagram. It just says Jeremy the artist everywhere. It's like, all right. What's your last
He's
name?
hiding it from us.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't say that out loud. Sorry, Jeremy.
Oh, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Wow.
Yeah, this one's cool. This is by Christine Varadi. And
Wow.
yeah,
Well
I like
done.
her work. Yeah, I think it's not Photoshop, Procreate that she works in, and she always does just really spot on likenesses, and really I like her brushwork a lot. It's pretty cool. Have you ever messed with that at all?
Impeccable. Mess with what?
With Procreate on an iPad.
Yeah, I do you know my Travis Bickle, the one that I did of Travis Bickle, Taxi Driver?
Oh yeah.
That one was Procreate.
Okay. Cool.
I've done a couple things in Procreate. I prefer Photoshop just because like I have all my shortcuts and it's a little bit faster to work in. Like it doesn't take as long to color pick or use like a smudge tool and all that. But I do like Procreate. I think it's a very versatile, robust program. It offers a lot for its price.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty great. Do you what do you work on as far as like, are you working on a Cintiq?
Yeah. I can't remember what size. It might be like what 18 inches. I think it's 18 inches. It's Cintiq.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because there's this company called Sense Labs, and it's I don't know if you heard of them or not, but this is what the logo looks like. Okay, there you go. They sent me a tablet recently to test out, and it's pretty awesome. So if like anyone's looking for something more affordable, they have like, it's really amazing tablet. Comes with like a remote control, so you can program everything and hold it in your left hand while you're drawing, and you can just like, the only thing is for me, I'm not a really big fan of tablets. I don't like to like draw and then look at the screen, and I want to be right on the screen.
Yeah.
But the good thing is they are developing something like a Cintiq. So which is supposed to be a little bit more affordable, I guess. But to me, they're all expensive. Like, yeah,
no kidding.
But the way I look at it is like I've been using Wacom Cintiqs for years, and I kind of feel like if you're willing to, if you want to be a professional, use what the professionals use. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
And once I started, did you start up with a Cintiq, like drawn on a screen digitally, or did you kind of work your way up with tablets?
I think my first tablet was the Bamboo Fun. I think that's what it was called. And then the Bamboo Create, and then some other tablet. Actually, my hands on the Cintiq like maybe 2 years ago, and I'm never going back. Never going back.
Yeah, I know it's pretty funny. I actually worked on I think it was just called. I think it was the same thing. I think it was Graphire. It was a Wacom Graphire. Was my first tablet, and it was like maybe this big. It was like this teeny little thing, and I worked on that for years. I did like Sports Illustrated and all kinds of like big illustrations, and this thing was so scratched up that I got to the point where I couldn't even use it anymore because I couldn't draw a straight line because it was so scratched up. It would just go on the screen like, and I eventually got one of those. I think it was an Intuos. I think it was Intuos 3. And that was actually really nice. And then an art director that for the Weekly Standard one time was just like, this is so funny because he was like, you gotta get a Cintiq, man. He's like, you're doing amazing work, but like, I can't believe you haven't gotten a Cintiq. You've been doing this for years. And I was like, the tablet works fine. I just didn't want to spend any money, And then he actually gave me a cover. He goes, I'm going to give you this next week's cover with the deal that you use that money to get a new Cintiq. So I did. And that's how I got my Cintiq.
And you never looked back.
No. And I feel it's embarrassing almost saying this, but so like I got my first Cintiq, and which I have right here as a second monitor. But then I was lucky enough to do I did a time cover for Person of the Year, and then Wacom was, basically they flew people over to interview me and do all these cool things, and then they just gave me the companion when that came out. And so I got that for free, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So now I could travel and then eventually they gave me in 2015 or something, they gave me this, what I still have here right now is it's a 27-inch Cintiq. I think it's 27. They don't make it anymore. And I'm always worried that it's going to die because I've had it for a few years now. And I don't want to buy a new one. You know what I mean? I hate spending money.
So you got a warranty?
Well, no, they just gave it to me. So it's like, send it to me. But yeah, I'm sure I'll be fine. I'll figure it out. But that's always in the back of my mind. I'm like, just you keep working, keep doing it,
Yeah.
But
Don't crap out on me.
Yeah, but I love it. Like, it's the same with you. Like, drawing on the Cintiq is just there's nothing, compared to actual traditional drawing. It's one of the closest things. So anyways, enough of the tech talk. I know you got to get going soon. It's been really fun being able to just chat with you and get to know you a little bit. Is there anything coming up or anything you want to like direct people towards that can follow you and check out some new things you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me on, Jason. It means a lot. It was really nice to be able to chat with you at length. I would love to do it again sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't have any big projects coming up. I'm working on an animation with my and I'm hoping to release that sometime early next year. Otherwise, you can follow my work on Instagram at _Stryker, and then my website is just ashstryker.com.
Awesome. And who are you working on the animation with? Because you're breaking up there. Couldn't hear it.
Oh, sure. It's an animation with music that my brother composed because he's a guitarist. Oh, wow. I'm the one who's doing the art, and he's the one doing the music. But it's like a little collaboration between us.
That is awesome. That's so cool. Now, are you still in the Minnesota area?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. You guys got snow yet?
Yes, we did right before ISCACon. We got our first snowfall, and it was really rough, but it all melted by now, and it's actually quite beautiful out today.
Oh, that's good.
It's schizophrenic in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's funny. My parents are up in North Wisconsin, like by Rhinelander area, and they've had snow for a few weeks now. So it's crazy. So anyway,
yeah, hasn't melted yet?
No. I had snow here once. I looked out the window at night, and there was snow everywhere, and then I was all excited to wake my daughter up and show her, and then I woke up in the morning, it was gone. So that's been it's pretty much how it's been. So, but again, thank you so much. This is so much fun to hang out and talk with you. I really love your work, and I can't wait to see what you do next. I think that you're definitely an inspiration to a lot of people. So keep going, and I think the teaching thing's a good idea, because I think that you got some good skills, but also I think you're really good with explaining things, and it's inspirational, and I'm excited for you, and I can't wait to see what you do. Yeah, I guess that's about it. So we'll see you guys all next time.
Thank you very much. Until then.
You want answers? Truth.